Hey, it's Krista. Thank you for checking out my Capitol Hill series. If you're new here and this is the first episode you clicked on, please go listen to my first episode before continuing on. Don't worry, it's super short, and listening to it will help you follow along with this series more easily. So go listen to the application heel episode if you have not already done so. Although for those you have, it's time to walk into the next heel, the preparation heel. So, you got into the program after an interview with the program coordinators. Congratulations! You just got through one hurdle. But that's just one hurdle. What's next? Hunting for internships, gathering a list of things to pack. And making other preparations between the date of acceptance to the day you officially check into DC. In my last episode, I mentioned that all applicants are required to apply for internships on their own. Unfortunately, we don't get assigned to an organization after we apply for this program, but I'm literally going to spend this episode covering that very subject. I'm going to talk about applying for internships, things to pack, and even an orientation that you'll have to go through before the DC seminar starts. It goes without saying that applying for internships on any occasion is challenging. There are issues of feeling underqualified, not hearing back from anybody, not knowing what to say once you snag the interview, and of course, these dreaded words. We've decided to go with another candidate. It's demoralizing to hear, especially in a society where we hear proverbs such as, stop comparing yourself to others and you should only strive to be better than the person you were yesterday. But alas, being told no is something that's bound to happen at some point. And while I won't tell you how to handle being passed over, I can certainly give you pointers on how to approach this process and even give words of encouragement. So, what do you need to know? For the DC seminar, it's actually normal for attendees to submit at least 20 applications before hearing anything back, whether for an interview or with an internship offer. Now, understand, it can take fewer applications than that. I only turned in 13 applications before receiving my offer, and you can have a similar result depending on the position you're going for and the experiences you already have. In my instance, I largely applied for communications internships, which I, 1, already had experience with, and 2, have created a research-based project in the form of a podcast. Alongside killing the interview that I managed to snag, I was fortunate to pull off the internship search early on, despite my fear that I'd never get any internship at all. Imposter syndrome did that to me. But the most important thing is that I put in applications anyway, and that's one of the tips I would give you too in approaching the process. Turn the applications in! Recognize whatever feelings you have about applying for internships, work through them, and prepare application materials in spite of that fear. What will be super helpful are the resources you'll receive from program coordinators about formatting a resume and cover letter. Those templates are to be used as shortcuts for your own applications, and you can make adaptations on them based on the positions you're applying for. Although regardless of the revisions you make, it's vital to mention that you're pursuing the Honors DC seminar. That'll already be written in a template, but if you would like to see a sample cover letter from me, I have that link below in the description box. Mentioning the Honors DC seminar gives context on your availability and would also be worth mentioning whenever you snag an interview. Speaking of which, I have a few tips to give on this subject as I believe they're important to mention. It goes without saying that you should promptly respond to emails requesting an interview with you. However, my first tip is that ahead of the interview, you browse the website of the place you're applying to and look at sites like Glassdoor to see what past employees have said about working at that org. It will help you engage with the org's mission on a deeper level. And not only that, give you insight on that org's work environment and even interview questions. This key advice doesn't always get stressed enough, and research doesn't have to take hours. Even spending just 30 to 45 minutes thoughtfully reading the website and taking notes on what stands out will assist immensely in conveying your interest and personality in the interview. That brings me to another tip worth sharing, which is that you should think about how you will answer the question, why do you want to intern with this organization? The thing is, it's not enough to just simply gas up how great the org is or speak broadly about the mission statement from your perspective. No. What you want to do is get specific as to what about the organization and its foci draws you in. I'll give an example from my interview. I applied for and received an offer from an organization dedicated to government accountability. When asked about why I was interested in interning with them, I brought up their mission statement about how social justice can't be achieved without a fair government. From there, I highlighted how their mission statement related to the observations I made in my own work about the intersectional nature of social justice issues and how it's important to have a government that recognizes that and commits to repairing harm based on that. And then a follow-up question you'll probably get is, which of our projects interest you the most? This is where you should show that you really follow tip number 1, which is that you did your research on the organization. It won't be enough to say, well, I heard that you've done research on this and I find that interesting, or to just broadly state your interest in the subject. What you need to do is show that you looked at the work and engaged with it substantially. For example, if you read a research paper or article that links to additional resources, say that you looked at those additional resources and that you are interested in researching the subject more. Or you can make connections between what you read in that paper and what you read or learned recently in the news or class. I ended up highlighting 2 in my interview due to the kinds of connections I made with them, but you could absolutely get away with only highlighting 1. The third thing is to show seriousness about your desire for the internship and be adamant about taking it. I know, your interview may not be with your first choice org, but it's not necessarily best to say, I'm still looking, or that I'm keeping my options open if you're seeking an offer from them. If they ask about your time frame, tell them when the DC seminar starts and that you're ready to lock down an internship. In other words, make it clear that you're not messing around with your internship search. And then the fourth and final thing, send thank you letters to everyone who interviews you. It's a great practice, regardless of whether you receive an internship offer or not. There are a lot of articles about the subject matter on Google, and search results can get pretty disorienting. But I still recommend you search and read those articles in your own time. I have a few helpful ones linked in the description as a Kickstarter. I'll actually talk about the experiences I had during my internship in a future episode. But now it's time to transition to another facet of preparation. One thing you will have to do is take a study abroad module. Since the honors seminar in public policy and global affairs is domestic, the information about international travel will really not apply to your situation. However, there's still valuable information regarding travel preparations and travel tips in general. The module is not something you need to find or complete before committing to the DC seminar. You'll receive a link to it through the program coordinators after commitment, and then after receiving the link through email, you'll need to complete it before another thing starts: orientation. It's very imperative that you attend pre-departure orientation because it's where you'll hear essential information about what to expect during the DC seminar and receive a guide containing information about contacts, housing, program dates, arrival, and packing. You'll also receive a class syllabus, which I'll go over in an episode about the classroom experience. Spoiler, that'll be in the 4th episode called The Classroom Heal. When it comes to packing, I don't need to ramble on about that. I know there's often the fear of forgetting that one thing you were meant to take but forgot, whether that be towels, phone charger, pencils, or something else. Worst case scenario, you can get those items at a store somewhere in DC, but of course, it's better to check, double check, and triple check that you have everything before departure.
And if you need a list of items to pack, I made one specifically catered to the DC seminar. Click the link in the description box to access it.
Whatever you pack on your trip to DC, there's one item in particular I'd like to emphasize bringing: the handy dandy lanyard. It may sound silly, but I'm serious. Take a lanyard to put your key fobs on so that you don't have to agonize over where they may be and have to pay any lost key fees. I admit, I lost the apartment key fob during my stay in DC and I had to pay a pretty penny to replace it. $175 to be exact. Not cheap, but also lesson learned. And there's one more thing you should get just before arriving in DC: a Metro card. Unless you consent to paying $800 for a parking pass and dealing with DC traffic, you need to buy an unlimited monthly Metro card. It's a digital pass, and the amount you need to put on it depends on the route you plan to frequently take to your workplace or wherever else. It's confusing to set up at first, but if you click at the top of this video, you'll see how to do it, and it'll be like a piece of cake.
Piece of cake.